we have Joel Aiken, who's going to be presenting Scattered Peaks 2018 Cabernet and 2017 Small Lot Cabernet. Joel, I honestly think to this audience, Joel doesn't really need an introduction. A longtime winemaker at Beaulieu. He retired to consult, and he helped found Scattered Peaks with Derek Benham. He grew up in Fresno in a farm family, studied ag at UC Davis, and I think there's no argument about it. If anybody knows Napa Cab, it's Joel Aiken. So Joel, welcome. Honor to have you here.
Thank you, Lars. So I'm talking about Scattered Peaks, which is a fairly new brand to most everybody. We're on our fourth vintage of our Napa Cabernet, and we'll be tasting the 2018, and then the first vintage of what we're calling our Small Lot, which is from a couple of special vineyards I've sourced the fruit from. And actually with the next vintage, we're doing single vineyard bottlings. Derek Benham is the owner of Scattered Peaks. We've been collaborating on this for a few years, and Scattered Peaks is really about a couple of his passions. He's a surfer. That's him in front and me in back carrying his surfboard for him. But he also jumps out of helicopters and skis on different peaks around the world, and likes to make wines from mountain vineyards. And I said, okay, well, when we do this, let's make some mountain vineyards, but also let's do some wines from the valley floor in Rutherford. All right, I'm not getting my, there we go. So I don't know if you can see, depending on what you have on the right of the screen, there's the label, and it's kind of up here. You can see there's in front, there's these waves from where he's surfing, and the term Scattered Peaks comes from, as a wave is breaking as it comes to the shore, is called Scattered Peaks. So that, the mountains that he skis off of, and because we're making mountain fruit for a lot of our wines, is where the name came from. So that's the two of us. So I'll be tasting two wines today, talking about them. The 2018 Napa is our fifth vintage, and it's interesting. We've done blends with other varietals in the past, but now this is 100% Cabernet Sauvignon, and so is the Small Lot, which is from Morrisoli on the Rutherford Bench and Sage Ridge, which is across from Pritchard Hill. And interesting that they're 100% Cabernet. When I was at BV, we made a lot of 100% Cabernets, and that's because until 1983, you only needed 50% varietal to label something Cabernet Sauvignon. So you could have a Cabernet that was 49% Chenin Blanc. And we always did 100% Cab. So I learned how to use Cabernet from different parts of the valley that might be a little softer, as other people might use Merlot to soften a wine, Petit Verdot. I got some fruit from Carneros that was like so powerful and dark and tannic. It was almost like Petit Verdot. But these two wines, the Napa Valley, 100% Cab, 18 months in French oak, 6,400 cases produced, and about 40% new French oak. So here you see the vineyards. The majority is coming from Usabelli, which is, again, it's Pope Valley, but on the hills near Howell Mountain. Makes a powerful wine, a lot of dark color intensity, good tannin. As I always insist, we have a little bit from Rutherford, so Vineyard Brown Pond, and then there's some from down in Oak Knoll. And this wine is very powerful wine. It's built to age, even though it's approachable. It's got a lot of dark color, a lot of cherry fruit, and backbone that I love making wines that age. I always say a great wine region is making red wines that have to stand the test of time. And I think this wine will definitely do that.
Amen to that.
A lot of cherry, some of it black cherry, a nice balance of oak. I really don't like having my wines over oaked, but lots of layers and good firm tannin. I had a dinner the other night for a guy who was getting married, and we had some great steaks, and that's a perfect wine to go with it.
Yeah.
So the second wine is, we're calling this a small lot. It was the first year that we got these two vineyards. So Morrisoli is across the street from Beebe, next to Scarecrow, next to Inglenook Napa Valley, Phelps Manley Lane. It's in the sweet spot of the best part of the Rutherford Bench. I love using that wine, and we're going to be bottling it up on its own in the future. And it's interesting, that is from the valley floor on these alluvial fans, whereas Sage Ridge is up in the hills, very steep, rocky hills, tiny clusters, and you would think the wines would be different than they are. The Sage Ridge is actually fairly lush and soft and round with lots and lots of layers, which you look at the soil, you look at the grapes, you think this would be the tannic, powerful backward wine, but the Morrisoli is, even though it's bigger clusters, bigger production, it's always had this incredibly powerful tannic backbone. Andrei Chelychev and others used to talk about the tannin in Rutherford Cabernet as being powerful but well behaved, kind of like the iron fist and the velvet glove. And the blend of these two, even though in the future we'll be doing them separately, is just pretty fabulous. It's powerful, but it's got many, many more layers than a lot of other wines I've worked with. And knowing these two vineyards, it will age for decades and decades. So love the wine.
They're beautiful, Joel. I have to say, I don't know if it's power of suggestion, but you say Rutherford, and I'm thinking Rutherford Dust because I taste it in there. And you say Sage Hill, and I'm thinking dried herbs because I taste that in there. But two beautiful wines. Thank you very much. It's an honor to have
Thank
you.
you.